When you're given a bass drum part, it's almost an insult. Why didn't I get to play snare drum? But the bass drum's a really important instrument as well, and we need to treat it like that. When you're setting up the bass drum, if your stand only allows the bass drum to be set up like this, that's okay. But if you have a tilting bass drum stand, tilt the bass drum at about a 45-degree angle. Standing behind the bass drum now, I'm able to use my dominant hand, my right hand, to hit at a motion where I'm putting a lot of weight into the drum head, instead of standing in front and having to play at a very awkward angle, which won't give me a big rich sound on the bass drum. So I can either use my left hand to muffle the sound, put a little pressure on the head to cut off some of the extra ring, or I can use my left hand to cut off the sound once it's created. When we're playing snare drum, we tend to use a lot of wrist, but with bass drum, I like to make sure to put a lot of weight into the head and use a little bit of arm. I like to think of hitting the bass drum not dead center, but just a little bit off center. Have a towel or some other soft material close to the bass drum so that you can have it ready for a muffle, and then just clamp it to the rim where you want it. Sometimes we need a pair of bass drum mallets to play faster rhythms with. This is just an old pair of bass drum mallets whose soft felt fell off over the years through misuse, and I salvaged them so I can still use them as articulate mallets. Marching bass drum mallets also work really well for this. When playing rolls on the bass drum, it's good to use two soft mallets, and instead of hitting too close to the center, I like to hit just a third of the way in from the edges. Now sometimes we need to totally cut off the ring of the bass drum. To do this, I like to tell my students to hug the drum. Left hand around the back to cut off the back head, and then I like to use my right knee and right hand to cut off the front head. There are times when you might want just a huge explosion of sound on the bass drum. This happens very rarely, so use it sparingly, but you can hit right in the dead center of the drum and get what's called a cannon shot or a cannon sound on the bass drum. Remember, in a march setting, most bass drum hits need to be very soft, except for the real emphasis, which need more length and more strength. I hope this helps. See you next time.